Hi, so in today's video I'm going to show you how I created this box in ScanNCut canvas. Now again, this wasn't my idea. I saw something like this on YouTube being made. I knew as soon as I saw it that I could make this using basic shapes in ScanNCut canvas. So it's a 3.5 by 3.5, and then it's got this like little star design on the top, and you open it up and obviously you've got the box and you can store whatever you want. And then you just close up the flaps and then you tuck your last flap under, and that keeps it all fastened. I've also designed this in ScanNCut canvas, which will be another video, and then I've used a scallop and just layered it up, and I've written thank you using a font that I brought in using the font converter, and I drew this on with a pen and then stuck it all together. So that's today's project, how to make this little gift box if you're interested, and I'll show you how to do it in ScanNCut canvas. So the first thing I'm going to do is come to the basic shapes, and I'm going to choose a square, a triangle, another triangle, and a rectangle. So with the square selected, I'm going to come to the properties box, make sure maintain aspect ratio is ticked, and I'm going to make it 3.5. Then I'm going to get one of the triangles, I'm going to untick maintain aspect ratio. I'm going to make the height 3, and I'm going to make the width 3.5. I'm going to choose the next triangle. I'm going to hold the shift key down, grab the rotating handle and turn it upside down. I'm going to make this one 1.5 inches high. Again, still got maintain aspect ratio unticked, and make it 3.5. So these are my 3 elements. And then this rectangle, I'm just going to drag it out. It doesn't matter how wide, but I want the height to be 1 inch. So these are all my elements that I'm going to use for now. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring the square up so that it touches the triangle, and bring this bottom triangle up so that touches. I'm just going to try and zoom in so that hopefully you can see it a bit better. So the triangle at the top and the bottom need to overlap the square, but not too much. You want them to just literally touch and overlap, enough that they'll weld. Drag an imaginary box around all 3, go to edit and center so they all line up together, and then go edit and weld and see if they weld, and if they're overlapped enough they'll weld. Just keep moving them until they just touch and overlap so that you get a weld if yours don't weld. Now I'm going to bring this rectangle in and line it up to where the bottom of this top triangle was. So I'm just going to zoom in on that area to make it easier. And I just want to line it up. I'm using this just as a placement to give me an inch line. You could line the rectangle, the shape up on the grid and try and put it in, but I find doing it this way is easier. So now that's lined up, this top line here is 1 inch from this mark here. So I'm going to bring in a line now. So I'm going to choose the path icon. I'm going to left click once here on the triangle where this line is. Hold my shift key down. I'm not pressing anything on my mouse. I'm just going to drag my mouse out in a straight line. And when I get to the other side, I'm going to double click to anchor it. With it selected, I'm just going to come to the properties box. I'm going to turn it red so that hopefully we can see it better, and also it'll help me line it up a bit better. I'm going to change it to a cut line and change it to a dash line, and I'm using the 3rd one down. So now I'm just going to zoom in on this section and you can see I'm not quite on it. So with the dotted line selected, I'm just going to use the arrow on my keyboard just to scoot it up to get it in place. And I'm just going to come down here and make sure that this one was in line, and it was. So I'm going to come back to view and fit to match. So now I can get rid of that one. I'm going to zoom back in just on where the square was and come back to the path icon, come to the corner here where the top triangle touched the top of the square, left click, let go, hold my shift key down, drag a line out, double click to anchor it. Again, with it selected, I'm just going to make it a cut line and make it a dash line, and I'll make it red so that hopefully you can see it better on screen. And then I'm going to do the same at the bottom. So I'm going to choose the path line again, come down here, left click, let go, drag the shift, press my shift key down, drag the line out, double click to anchor it, change it to a cut line and a dash line. Now I'm going to come back to fit to mat. So now I've got those score lines in. So I'm going to select everything, right click and make it all a group. Now I'm going to duplicate it 2 more times. So I'm just going to hit the D key on my keyboard twice. So now I'm going to line this edge of where the square was to this edge. And again, I want an overlap, but only just a slight overlap. I'm going to select them all, come edit, align them all either to the top or the bottom, whichever way works best for you. And I'm just going to zoom in on this section. This one looks as though it's overlapped, but it might be overlapped too much. So I just want it so it literally touches. This one on the end, again, looks as though it's overlapping too much. So I'm just going to move it back just so it touches. I'm going to come fit to mat. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to select each one and ungroup it from the dotted line without moving it. So just a right click and ungroup. Now I just want the 3 main shapes, not the dash lines. So these are all individual pieces now. So if I click on my first one, press my shift key down, click on my second one, and still holding my shift key, press on the third. I've not moved anything. If you move anything, just hit the undo button. You just want the 3 big shapes, not the dash lines. With those 3 selected, I'm going to come to edit and weld. And if they're overlapped, they will weld. And the reason that you don't do it with the dash lines in place is because if you do, the dash lines will disappear. So now I've got my dash lines still remaining, and I've got the 3 larger sections welded. I just need to put 2 more dash lines in here. So I'm going to come back to the path icon, come over here where the V section meets, and you should see a little blue grey box. Left click, hold the shift key down, let go of the mouse, just drag it. I'm not pressing the mouse, double click to enter it. I'm going to change it red again in the hope that you might see it better. Make it a cut line and make it a dash line, and then put the last one in. And by holding the shift key down and not pressing anything on the mouse, it enables you to drag the line out and keep it perfectly straight. So again, it's already red because the last one we did, we changed to red. Cut line and dash line. They don't need to be red. I just do this in the hope that you can sometimes see it better on the video. So now I'm going to select everything, right click and make it all a group. So this is now all one group. So I just need one more shape now. So I'm going to come back to the basic shapes and grab this shape here. I'm going to hold the shift key down and rotate it. That keeps it perfectly straight without going out of shape. I want to make it 3.5 inches high by about 1/2 inch wide. This is going to be the glue tab. So with it selected, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure I've got maintain aspect ratio unticked. I'm going to make this 0.5, so that's 1/2 inch wide. And I'm going to make it 3.5 inches high. Sorry, I've done that the wrong way around. So 3.5 by 0.5. Okay, and this is my glue tab. And again, I'm just going to highlight this area. I'm just going to bring it in. I want it to overlap, not too much, basically just so this black line just overlaps this black line. So now I want to weld it to the shape, but I've forgotten, so I'm going to have to select the rest and ungroup. So now I'm just going to click so I get the 3 big shapes, not the dash lines, because I've ungrouped all this now. Hold my shift key down and select my tab and go edit and weld. It's not welded, so it mustn't be overlapped enough, so I'm just going to select it and move it over using the arrows on my keyboard. I'm just moving it over 1 and see what happens. So again, that's selected. Hold my shift key down, select this big shape and go edit weld, and now it's welded. So the last thing to do now is just put this dash line in. So again, I'm going to come to the path icon, come up here to where it joined, drag my line down, double click to anchor it, make it a cut line and make it a dash line. And again, I'll just make it red in the hope that you can see it better on the video. So now I'm going to grab a box and drag it around everything. So I've got all my dash lines and all the main shape, and just do right click and group. So that's now the basic shape. So what I'm going to come to do now is grab a square. These squares originally started off as 3.5 by 3.5. I'm going to tick maintain aspect ratio and I'm going to make them 3.25. These are going to be my matting layers for the front, and obviously you'll need 3, but I'm just going to put 1 on for now. Now I need a matting layer for this section here and for the triangle. So again, I'm just going to zoom in just on this top section in the hope that you can see it better. I'm going to come to the path icon. I'm going to left click up here at a sort of a certain distance that I think by eye. So left click, let go, hold my shift key down, drag my mouse out so I get a perfectly straight line. Left click again, let go. I've still got the shift key held down. Now I'm going to let the shift key go because I want to be able to draw a diagonal line. When I think I've got a similar distance at this side as I have from the top here, I'm going to left click, drag the mouse along again. This time I can press my shift key down so I get a perfectly straight line. Click, let go, and then just drag up and join that together. And if I don't think it looks, equal enough, or I don't think it looks right in comparison to the square, if I put the square in place, see, this might need to be slightly dragged out because it doesn't quite line up with this edge. So I'm going to drag this out a bit till I think it looks okay. So that's my matting layer for those sections. And then I'm just going to do the same with the triangle. You could use a triangle and just shrink it down, but I sometimes find it easier to use the path icon. So I'm going to start at the top, left click, drag a line down, left click, drag across. I'm going to hold my shift key down on this one while I'm dragging to keep it perfectly straight. Let go, left click, and then come back up here and double click to anchor it. And then see how my distance is looking on all 3 sides from this to the main triangle, and see if it looks the same. And if I think it needs to come in a bit more, then, I'll just alter it a little bit. I may bring the top bit down just a little. So I've got my matting layer for my triangles, I've got my matting layer for this section and my matting layer for the front, and this is the bottom, so I don't need any matting layer. So I'm going to zoom out now. So I would now just position these down here out of the way, and when you come to cut this you need 3 of each. Position this at the top so it's all positioned within the red cut line area, and then name it here in the project section, save it here, and then it's ready to download and cut. So I hope you like that project. Please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share if you can do. Make sure you are subscribed so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Make sure the bell notification icon is turned on, and that way YouTube will let you know when I have uploaded. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.